John Cena has laid claim to the WWE Championship. John Cena has said he is after number 17. And we're going to talk about it. We're going to talk about that, his confrontation with Cody. We're going to talk about Monday Night Raw coming from Glasgow and what we have to look forward to over the next week of Monday Night Raw coming from London. So what's up, everyone? My name's Mex, WrestleManiac. Make all videos WWE AEW. If that sounds like something you're interested in, make sure you follow along, subscribe. Just about to reach 9,000 subscribers on the YouTube, which is incredible. So subscribe if you're new here. And yeah, we're gonna have a bit of a Raw review. But I want to do a bit of a sense check first and understand how everyone is feeling about WrestleMania in general before we get on to Raw itself, because I'm not excited. Yeah, I'm not really excited just yet. I know on the day, match will bang, as we always say, but as of right now, I'm not feeling the build, and I'm trying to give it benefit of the doubt. I kept talking about the build, and people kept telling me, Mex, there's still 4 weeks left, there's still a month left, and all of this kind of stuff. Well, another week has gone by. We're probably about 3 weeks out from WrestleMania now, and I'm not getting or feeling any more excited. This isn't kind of exciting me at all. And I don't know if you look at this as a positive or a negative. I'm not going to be at WrestleMania this year. I've been at the past 2 WrestleManias. I've been very blessed to be able to go out, have a great time, a great week, a productive week, make content. You guys have supported the content and stuff like that. I've enjoyed WrestleMania weekend there in the flesh for the past 2 years. This year, I'm not able to go due to a family holiday that has been rearranged into the week of WrestleMania. So I would have been there, but it's just, circumstances means, family business first. And I don't feel like I'm missing out. Of course, as you get closer to the day, the spectacle builds up, you're going to feel that kind of sense of FOMO, and you're missing out because this is, as they say, one of the greatest shows on earth. But the build isn't necessarily exciting me. The spectacle of WrestleMania will always excite me, but the build is not exciting me. And kind of, segueing into, I guess, our first topic of the day. It is this main event, this massive marquee main event of Cody Rhodes versus John Cena. And as you guys know, when I do my reviews, I don't tend to touch on every little thing and run down everything in order of how the show went. I tend to look at the top 5 things we learned from the show, so kind of, what did we watch today that's going to impact later on, or can have an impact later on? What did we learn from the TV that we're watching? So that's how I tend to break down these reviews. So first things first, we're looking at the John Cena promo that kind of opened up the show. And that's going to be the first thing we talk about. John Cena and the fact he says he's going to be the last real world champion, WWE champion. Now, I thought this alone as a moniker was like, yes, this is it. Like, this is what I've been waiting for. John Cena as the last real champion is something I can get behind. I'm already behind heel Cena. I would have loved the whole aesthetic change and stuff like that. He said why he's not doing that, and I'm down with that because it makes sense. He doesn't want to be appeasing the fans. And now he's finally mentioned why he's going after number 17. And him saying that he will be the last real champion, he will effectively win the belt and go home with it and not return, retire with the title, if you like. This is what I can get behind. Like, now you're being stubborn, pathetic, annoying, petty heel. Like, yes, This is what I've come here for. So I can 100% get behind this. This is what I want from the character. I even said some weeks back now on Gorilla Position that, you know, this is what he should do: win the title, have the title on his Hollywood sets, cut promos with it in his mansion and stuff like that. Yeah, this is definitely what I'm looking forward to when it comes to John Cena holding this title. So I love this element of the promo. The first half of the promo still felt very much like what we got last week. That first initial promo he gave after arriving back on Raw, and then it evolved into what we got. So, like I say, the whole "I'm gonna win number 17," "I'm gonna ruin wrestling." I thought that was great. And he's gonna take the title. He's gonna go home. He's the last real world champion. Anyone that gets a belt after that is, you know, they're holding fake championships. They're holding replicas and stuff like that. I really like that. I really like that, and I could really get behind. So I think, although last week I was left in a place of, well, John Cena hasn't justified why he is turning heel, and what has that got to do? The you people promo was good, but it's like you could have delivered that without aligning with The Rock, without killing off Cody, you know. So I think week by week we are getting more into a place where he's revealing his actions behind, you know, the turn and stuff like that. This brings out Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes is, you know, obviously speaking on behalf of the fans and stuff. One thing I will say about Cody Rhodes, right? This whole he comes out and starts greeting the fans and all of that kind of stuff. You're not as angry as you portrayed to be then. You kind of lied about this whole, I just want to see John Cena. I just want to fight John Cena. I want to scrap him, because you've had two occasions now and it hasn't been on site as you were insinuating it would be. It hasn't been on site. You've tried to talk him down from his position. You tried to understand his position. You've okay. This past week has said, okay, yeah, you know, let's do this. If you want to fight now, I'll put my belt down. Let's do this now, sort of thing. John Cena walked away. Like, I'm not saying Cody's looking weak. I'm just saying he's not really living his raps of what he's going to do, or what he said he was going to do, you know. So that's been a bit disappointing. Yes, John Cena's walked away in this particular week. Cody walked away last week, but chase him and do him, you know. Look what he done to you. You see what I mean? So I'm not really happy with Cody's portrayal, let's say. Like, we have to make his character, he still looks strong, don't get me wrong, but you're not living what you said you're going to do to this guy. You're not living it at all. So yeah, I'd like to get to a place where, you know, Cody's taking action. And my concern now is John Cena has this last, quote unquote, last promo with Cody Rhodes next week in London. John Cena is not advertised for another date between next week and WrestleMania. So that's another two shows, another two Raws anyway, that he's not going to be on currently. He is currently not advertised beyond next week, Monday. It's next week, Monday, and it's WrestleMania. So next week, Monday in London at Raw needs to be explosive. It really does need to be explosive, because if John Cena is not appearing between next week and WrestleMania, we really need to do something to really lift, you know, set this story on fire, you know, make it ablaze. The guys involved are brilliant. We know that. This match sells itself. You know, John Cena winning the Elimination Chamber. He could have stayed a face, and everyone's going to look forward to John Cena versus Cody Rhodes, night 2 main event of WrestleMania. Sells itself. But the fact he's not appearing for 2 weeks, and I won't say the two interactions that they've had since that night in Elimination Chamber have been flat, but it's a very slow build to a crescendo. It's a very slow build to a position of climax. So yeah, I think next week, if we're not getting John Cena any more between next week and Mania, next week needs to go off. Like, it needs to be crazy. I would even say that The Rock should probably be in town. And or if John Cena is not gonna be there beyond the next week, Monday, maybe The Rock, once they return to America, The Rock could turn up in London. To be fair, it is London. Like, I feel The Rock might has to come in and fill some type of story gap in those next 2 weeks, because I don't need John Cena and Rhodes to go face to face on next Monday, and then the next 2 weeks before Mania, Cody Rhodes is trying to sell us this story on his own again. So yeah, I think next week is going to be one to definitely look forward to for this story. The story's been doing well. Like I said, it's a very kind of slow, methodical build to where we're getting to right now. But yeah, I definitely feel like next week has to be something, especially if John Cena has no further dates until WrestleMania. But yeah, it'll be interesting to hear what everyone's got to think. Of course, use the chat function, get involved, and let's hear your thoughts on the situation. John Cena finally saying, his motivations going after number 17, and that he wants to retire with the belt, and that he is the last real world champion if he wins this belt. I'm behind that. I do like that as a moniker, like I said. So yeah, that was, I think, one of the real big angles, real big talking points coming out of Monday Night Raw. We're going to move on to another thing that I really enjoyed, and that was Jimmy Uso and Jey Uso linking up again. I thought the fact that they linked up again anyway for that tag match. Listen, I did think they would kind of pull the trigger on a Joe Hendry or someone like that, get the crowd excited. It wasn't Joe Hendry, it was Big Jimmy Uso, which is fine. I just don't feel the need of why they needed to say like a wild card or a special guest tag partner. You didn't need to build it. Just say Jay's tagging with his brother next week on Raw. Which was good. It was fine. These two as a tag team, it's been a long time since we've seen them as a tag team, and they've done some great stuff against A-Town Down Under. Got the win. But it was the segment that happened backstage. Following the win, there was an attack by Gunther again. Jey Uso looked like he was getting the upper hand. Jey Uso slipped in the ring, and then Gunther got the best of him, I think, before the whole brawl was kind of split apart. And it placed seeds of doubt in Jey Uso's head as to whether Jey Uso can overcome Gunther. And backstage, we saw Jimmy saying that, this Jey Uso cannot overcome Gunther with your head down and you feeling sorry for yourself and all of that kind of stuff. However, the Jey Uso that entered the Royal Rumble, that won the Royal Rumble, that's the guy. That guy can get it done. And, Jimmy being this person to kind of now enter this story at this point to G up his brother, his twin brother, although he's his younger twin. There's that element of the big brother kind of saying, get your head up off the ground, chin up sort of thing. I really enjoyed this. And it's almost like maybe they've waited a bit too long into the story to now introduce this person as someone. I mean, we're getting closer to the crunch, so it makes sense that Jimmy is making sure that his brother has his chin up and can get the job done. It does make sense, but I think more so the emotional aspect of the story, we've waited too long to get to some level of emotion. It didn't have to be Jimmy. It could have been anybody else or anything else, but it's Jimmy. It's taking his time to get here, and I enjoyed it. I really did like it. The whole cinematography, the camera angle of Gunther walking past this stairwell that they were sitting on and just being there, it was a bit silly. Like, it was a bit silly how Gunther just appeared there and Jimmy walked around the corner and Gunther was just right there. But the slap Jimmy gave Gunther was mental, like absolutely mad. So yeah, I enjoyed that segment. I enjoyed them using Jimmy as a bit of a catalyst, like an emotional catalyst in this story as well. Jimmy versus Gunther next week on Raw. I mean, Gunther should pulverize him. There is no chance that Jimmy should win. But it's then what's the next step for after that? Does Jay make the save? Jay stop it from happening? How do we incorporate Jay into this story? And hopefully, it's not a case of Gunther just absolutely squashing both brothers together, sort of thing. We've got to maintain the contender looking as strong as the champion, and for this story is that Jey Uso stood tall against Gunther last week. So for you to now come and almost play it like Jey Uso, crisis of confidence and all of this kind of stuff. Can I do it? I don't know. You beat up Gunther last week. You beat up Gunther. Gunther was looking up whilst you were standing on the turnbuckle, holding his world championship aloft. You beat him up last week, and now we're having crisis of confidence. So it's a bit of an inconsistency there. But yeah, I do think that it'll be good to see Jimmy, like I say, be this little kind of speed bump in Gunther's road, if you like. Add some emotional element to this story, because this story has not been the one. It's not been the one. Like, just to kind of go one further with this story, right? If we take a comparison of the women's world title, yeah, the title scene where Rhea Ripley has just lost that title to Io Sky, Bianca Belair has become number one contender over there, and now Rhea wants a rematch. Rhea and Io Sky next week. Bianca Belair as the special guest referee. They put like potholes in Rhea's run to WrestleMania with the women's title. Now they're putting plot holes with Io on the way to Mania. Like, and this is you. I'm gonna get onto speaking about that, right? But this is what Gunther never had. Gunther has known from basically February 1st, he is going to WrestleMania as champion to face whoever won the Royal Rumble, in this case, Jey Uso. So Gunther's arc has been, very basic or poor, to be honest. Jey Uso and, well, Bianca Belair and Charlotte Flair and I guess John Cena, those are the only people that should be sitting down comfortable with their arms crossed thinking, well, I'm going to Mania. It's a case of who I'm going to fight when I get to Mania. Tiffany Stratton, when did Tiffany Stratton win the title, actually? I can't remember if she won it before Royal Rumble or not, or just after Royal Rumble. I think she might have won it just after Royal Rumble. But yeah, the champions, Rhea Ripley, Gunther, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, I can't remember who was champion there, Cody Rhodes. These men should be sweating all the way between Rumble and Mania. They should still be having to do defenses and all of that kind of stuff. Like, I don't understand why, for the most part, a lot of them, or Gunther has been cushy. Gunther has been cushy. Cody Rhodes has been cushy. Like, Cody Rhodes, he must have defended the title at Royal Rumble, and that was the last. And Gunther, Saturday night main event. I think it was there was a defense there, but too comfortable. Like, put potholes. Are they going to make it to Mania? Because if you're not a Royal Rumble winner or an Elimination Chamber winner, you shouldn't be comfortable, and your place at Mania shouldn't be set. Those are the only four people that their place at Mania is set. And even then, in the past, we've seen, the likes of people have potholes in their run. They can win the Royal Rumble, but if they lose some other match, someone else gets added to the match or something like that. We've seen that kind of stuff. I think Gunther's had too much of an easy ride, and that hasn't really helped in getting the road to WrestleMania for that men's world title very exciting. So yeah, Jimmy provides a nice little something injection into this story, in my opinion. But really and truly, it's maybe a little too late. Jay's going under real criticism when it comes to his performances. Although, like I said, I really enjoyed him and Jimmy tagging again. I know his match with Gunther is not going to be a tag match, but at the same time, him and Gunther have had good matches for the IC title, the Saturday night main event, world title match that they had. So I think at WrestleMania, it will all come together quite nicely. It's just that this has been a very painful road to WrestleMania for these guys involved. We have a comment here from Taker Fantastic. Thanks a lot for your comment, bro. I'll take our fanatic. Sorry, I can't read. The Cena Rhodes match hinges on the promo next week, as the former apparently isn't back until Mania. Yes, yeah, this is exactly what I said. This is exactly what I said. John Cena's last scheduled appearance currently is next week in London. So he's clearly doing all the Europe stuff because he's still shooting his film here. And then obviously WrestleMania, he'll probably turn up. I say probably, he will turn up at WrestleMania. So yeah, it's looking very likely that after next week, for the next 2 weeks until Mania, Cena won't be here to sell this story. Now, like I say, you can maybe get away with that if Cody beats him up next week and quote unquote writes him off till Mania. You can maybe get away with that if they have some type of pull apart brawl that's crazy and maybe leads to a suspension or something like that. You can get away with it maybe if The Rock is like a foil for Cena in his absence. So when Cena's not there, when they go back to America in the next 2 weeks, The Rock turns up instead for his client, for his guy, sort of thing. There's ways you can do it and get away with it, sort of thing. I just feel like next week has to be so explosive to excuse the next 2 weeks after that. We'll see. We'll see what they've got up their sleeve. I am absolutely trusting in them to do something good. But yeah, a lot of positive twists and turns will be needed for us to turn an eye to this, because if they don't do this well, people are going to be annoyed. People are going to say, why did you include John Cena in the story to Mania when he's not going to be around? So yeah, a lot of twists and turns before we get to Mania in regards to these two. And talking about twists and turns, let's talk about this women's title picture, because they are taking real twists and turns, roundabouts, left turns, right turns, to make sure that this story can last the distance. So again, to recap on this story, Rhea Ripley was the champion. She got beaten by Io Sky about 3 weeks ago, pinned by Io Sky for the Women's World Championship. In that time, Bianca Belair had become the #1 contender, winning the Elimination Chamber. And yeah, when Rhea lost to Io Sky, it's like, okay, you're out of the picture now. It's Io Sky versus Bianca Belair for the Women's World title. Last week, they had the contract sign in. The contract was signed by Io Sky, Bianca Belair, and Rhea Ripley. Now, Adam Pearce came out on this week's show and said, yes, Rhea signed it. No, Rhea's not in the match. Rhea wants her rematch. So basically, he's going to do it on his time. He's going to call it. And like he has set up, next week is going to be Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky for the Women's World Championship in London. Massive, massive match. And Bianca Belair will be the special guest referee. Brilliant reaction backstage by Bianca when she found out she's going to be a special guest referee. I don't know how to referee. Which is true. I don't think we hear that enough. Someone always gets made the special guest referee, or they come out with their chest, I'm going to be the special guest referee. And it's like, you never refereed for one day in your life. Like, how do you know the rules and this, that, and the other? So this was a really cool, genuine reaction from Bianca Belair that, she doesn't know how to referee. Why are you going to put that on her? And yeah, this is gonna be fun. I think I don't know how you do this, but the biggest story here has always been Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley. That is the big story here. I think that's already one of the matches planned for next year's WrestleMania. And this entire story is simply build for that. Like, we are beginning the build to Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley next year at Mania. I think some way, somehow, we need to either do one of two things with this match next week. Io Sky needs to beat Rhea Ripley because that's what Io Sky does. She beats Rhea Ripley. Or somehow we find Bianca Belair a way to screw over Rhea Ripley. Now, if you really want to set this story between Bianca and Rhea alight, if Bianca could cost Rhea Ripley a place at WrestleMania this year, like she doesn't have a match. Ripley, maybe during the Mania broadcast, you see, Rhea Ripley sitting in the stands, sulking face, and all of that kind of stuff. And she is absolutely fuming. And Bianca Belair goes on to win the Women's World Championship at Mania. You've now built a real story of intrigue where, like, the rest of the year, Rhea Ripley can spend making it back to the top of the mountain to challenge Bianca Belair for that Women's World Championship, because she was absolutely screwed out of it by Bianca this year before WrestleMania next week. I really do feel like that could be a really good story. It maintains two things: that, Bianca Belair, maybe some heelish tendencies are coming into play, and there is still a story to tell with Bianca and Jade and Naomi. I can't stress how that they've dropped it now for Bianca's involvement because of obviously everything else she's doing, but we need to slide Bianca back into that story once she's champion, because once she's champion, Naomi's immediately justified. Naomi is immediately justified that, look, you stopped hanging around with this scrub called Jade Cargill, and now you've went and become women's world champion. And it's like Bianca can then be like, you were right. Naomi, you were right. So it does a couple of things. Io Sky maintains her record over Rhea Ripley, which is important. And I think it puts on a pedestal. Bianca Belair obviously then stays as the undefeated at WrestleMania. And then next year, when Rhea Ripley is going to fight Bianca Belair for the championship, the title's also on the line, but the undefeated streak. So if Rhea Ripley then beats Bianca Belair for the title, takes her streak of, what would it be, 5 wins, 6 wins at WrestleMania by then, I think that it culminates all nicely together. I really think that's a really nice story. It will be very difficult for them not to book Rhea Ripley for WrestleMania. I completely understand that. WrestleMania this year, that is. But if the larger story is for her to sit in the crowd sulking, disgusted that Bianca Belair has been allowed to get away with this, has to watch Bianca Belair win the women's world title, and then ultimately wait for 365 days to get her revenge on Bianca Belair, and then that pays off really nicely and maybe night one main event of WrestleMania next year. It's a story worth telling. It is a story worth telling. So yeah, they are taking the absolute scenic route with these women and this story. And who knows? I could be very wrong, and this is just going to be a triple threat match, which we probably all assume it is going to be. But I do think there is a bigger story at play here that they could do and could be fantastic, because the women involved are fantastic. Io Sky being put in here, I hate the word transitional champion or placeholder, but the bigger story at play for me has always been Rhea Ripley versus Bianca Belair. So yeah, this could be a very interesting way of how we get there. But yeah, I think that was one of the highlight segments from Raw. as well. One of the big learns that we'll see. And I'm looking forward to that match, regardless of all the story and stuff around it. Like I say, Rhea Ripley versus Io Sky next week in London with Bianca Belair as special guest referee. Yeah, man. Give me that. Like it's very road to WrestleMania-ish. You know, it is very good in regards to that. I can't lie. So maybe not all the build has been poor for WrestleMania. This one is it's round and round in circles with these women, like I said, but this is some intriguing stuff which they've got coming up, which um, will be good. Triple threat action. We have another triple threat situation which we're going to talk about. We found out on this past show we're going to have a contract signing this Friday on SmackDown. Contract signing between CM Punk, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns. They've kind of already advertised this match. They kind of advertised it on Raw, so we know this is on the horizon at this point. I think what woke me up in all of this, like I've been very vocal. I didn't want a triple threat match between these guys. There's nothing on the line. I think we should have had CM Punk, versus Rollins as an option. I think another definite option I would have been up for seeing is Roman Reigns versus Rollins. And maybe my least interested option I would have liked to see would have been Roman Reigns versus CM Punk. However, I stand by either way. It should be a singles match and not a triple threat between these guys. I probably would have went with Rollins and CM Punk and then done Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre because that should be a thing. And that way, all of those guys are used in high profile situations. They've opted for this triple threat. Last week, these three were having a meaningless scrap in and around the ring and pointing to the WrestleMania sign in between the scrap that they were having. Very cringe, very poor. It wasn't gladiator-esque as you would kind of associate with these guys, that they're having big fights and all of that kind of stuff, like, and pointing to signs in between. It wasn't the greatest segment. However, what made me kind of sit up and pay attention this past week was CM Punk stating that I brought you into this business. Now, he had to cut this promo. Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins weren't there, but him cutting this promo, I brought you into this business. You were making Shield references. Commentary, said that as well. Like, he brought the Shield into the WWE back in, 2012. I know we've still got time to Mania, this, that, and the other, but this should have been a story that they could have probably started telling about 2 weeks ago, because it's some good, intriguing stuff. It really is. Now, with that throwaway last line of the entire promo, he said, I brought you into this business, I'll take you out. Best in the world. His music went off. Really cool, emphatic way to kind of punctuate his segment. And even CM Punk, having to carry this segment alone, if you like. I thought he'd done a very good job. When you put these three men in the ring on SmackDown, right? I need them to kind of go into that last statement. I brought you into this business, I will take you out, sort of thing. We need to talk about the formation of the Shield. We need to talk about how CM Punk did not want Roman Reigns in the Shield. He wanted flipping Cassius Ohno. He wanted Chris Hero there instead. We need to discuss this because this is good story. This is good story stuff that we can motivate this whole thing with. Yeah, this should be good. I think there's more though, because, and I know they always do this. I know they always pick and choose what matches and what segments get contract signings and what doesn't. Cody and Cena hasn't had a contract signing for the World Championship. That's the WWE Championship. No contract signing. But these three men that are about to have a triple threat match for nothing, nothing on the face of it, are about to have a contract signing. Now, I think somewhere here is potentially where CM Punk's favor might come into play. If one of these guys, if not both of them, do not read the contract, there could be a clause in this contract that if CM Punk defeats Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins on night one of Mania, CM Punk walks into the main event of WrestleMania. It could happen. I don't want CM Punk to be involved in another triple threat. Let me just say that. When CM Punk finally does get his main event, it needs to be one-on-one solo thing. Like, I have worked my ass off to the point of I now deserve this. He may go on and win a Rumble. And like I said earlier on, he can then sit down with his arms crossed and be like, right, who am I facing at WrestleMania in the main event? Because I've won the Rumble. I'm going to Mania. I'm going to the main event. The rest of you lot can scrap to fight me, basically, for the championship. So, yeah, I think their use of a contract signing here has got me thinking there could be something where the contract has something in it. This favor that is owed to CM Punk by Paul Heyman. There could be something in this. If not an opportunity at the World Championship on night 2, I'm not sure what else it could be. But yeah, there is definitely some cause to think Punk could be about to play his smartest hand possible. Like, it could be stipulation, like even like if Seth Rollins wins, who I think should win this triple threat match. If Seth Rollins wins or Roman Reigns wins, then yeah, nothing happens. But if CM Punk wins, he walks into the main event of WrestleMania and makes it CM Punk versus Cena versus Cody Rhodes. Possible. Very possible. But yeah, this segment alone, I thought Punk done really well. Like I said, to kind of carry this segment on himself. He's a ring general, he's a veteran anyway, so I'm not surprised that he was able to do that. But it was a decent segment. Went down well with the crowd. With the fans, they were happy with this. A couple other things I want to touch on Raw just quickly. Not one of the main segments. There's other things I want to mention. This Chad Gable as El Grande Americano, whatever the luchador is called, I think it's some funny stuff. Only if Chad Gable is actually the luchador. Like, if the long game is to turn out that, I don't know, Chad and this other guy are actually two different people and the luchador is literally a nobody, yeah, that'll be dead. But if Chad Gable is the actual luchador, I think that'll be good stuff. Lyra Valkyria defeated Raquel Gonzalez or Rodriguez. What's her WWE name? I think it's Rodriguez. In defending their IC championship. I think this was good. I think they need to keep throwing Lyra out there defending this title, because if they're not going to give Lyra Valkyria a character, they need to let her kind of get over with the crowd through her performances, and she puts on very good performances. So right now they're sending her out there maybe once every 3 weeks to have a match. You've got a 2.5 hour show. You can even go 3 hours on Netflix. Send Lyra Valkyria out there every single week defending the Intercontinental Championship. You have more than enough women across the Raw brand. You could even go to NXT to bring people up to challenge her for this title. Because if you're not going to build her as a character, keep throwing her out there, and having great matches so she can get over in her matches. Because there's always reaction when Lyra wrestles, because she's a very good wrestler. So we either, if you're not going to invest in the character, give her the TV time, let her have some matches, let her, put some age and prestige on this title. And yeah, we need to start figuring out what she's going to do at Mania. We need to start figuring out what her WrestleMania looks like as well, because there's no way you can bring to the dance a women's title, a women's intercontinental title this year, and it's not at WrestleMania, because that immediately shows us that you do not care about this title. And you're slightly booking it now like you don't care, but I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. The Women's United States Championship, the Women's Intercontinental title, they both need to be at WrestleMania. I will not hear one excuse about it, because you will literally just say me, you made these titles for fun. You don't care about women's wrestling. So yeah, don't make new titles and don't put them on your biggest show of the whole year. What is Lyra doing with the IC belt at WrestleMania? What is Chelsea Green doing with the United States title at WrestleMania? They need to kind of start forming stories on TV to give us answers to those questions, because they need to give us answers to those questions. Those titles need to be on WrestleMania. It's as simple as that. Talking about titles on WrestleMania, talking about the Intercontinental Championship, let's get into the final big thing that we learned from Monday Night Raw this past week. And it is that more multi-person action. In this case, multi-man mania, I'm calling it. We had in the main event of Raw, Bron Breakker taking on Penta. Penta was challenging Bron Breakker for the IC Championship. A very fun match that didn't last very long, but with these guys in the ring, I want to see more, because even in the 5 minutes they had before I think things started going pear-shaped, they were doing a really, really good job. Frankensteiners and destroyers and all kinds of crazy moves between these two. We saw the Judgment Day come out. And I guess the story here, the through line here, is that Dominic Mysterio is still lobbying to Finn Balor that Penta should join Judgment Day. Dominic Mysterio took it upon himself to approach Penta in the hallway backstage and say, look, you could become IC champion tonight if you basically align with us. We'll make sure of it, sort of thing. Penta didn't agree at that time, but it made Judgment Day come out during the match, and the Judgment Day were acting in Penta's corner, causing all types of disruptions and things like that, to try and help Penta win, to maybe help him, goad him into joining Judgment Day. Eventually, their involvement costed Penta, and the match was thrown out, because of a disqualification when they attacked Bron Breakker. We saw Finn Balor come out, who Finn challenged Bron Breakker last week for the IC title. And Finn Balor looked like he was going to take the chair to Dominic Mysterio, eventually gave the chair to Dominic Mysterio for Dominic to hit Bron Breakker. And then Dominic passed the chair to Penta to kind of, again, goad Penta into hitting Bron Breakker to align with Judgment Day. Of course, Penta didn't do that. He turned, he hit Dominic Mysterio with the chair, and Finn's expression was brilliant, because Finn just looked at him like, you didn't think that was going to happen, sort of thing. In the end, the Judgment Day stood tall, taking out Penta and Bron Breakker. And if we believe reports, Fightful Select reported today that the plan is at WrestleMania, an Intercontinental Championship match, Bron Breakker walking in as champion, defending against Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor. So I think it was probably a bit obvious in terms of the multi-man aspect of this. It was who those men was going to be. I think at one point people probably thought Pete Dunne would find himself in this match, the likes of Ludwig Kaiser as well. And again, this is just a report. WWE have not confirmed that this is the WrestleMania match, but it makes sense from what we saw this past week on Raw. If you're going to have Bron Breakker defend his title against Penta, Dominic Mysterio, and Finn Balor, I would love for Penta to win so that Penta, a 40, just turned 40 or 40 something year old man that's ridden the roads and done more or less everything in this sport can get his big WrestleMania moment in front of a massive crowd, winning a singles championship. I would love that to be his story. I would love that to work. And again, it is a massive kick in the balls to AEW, where Penta's obviously just left to join WWE. At the same time, it's almost like an advert to AEW talent. You leave AEW and look what we can do for you. Um, I would love Penta to get that shine. However, if this is going to be the match that happens at WrestleMania, the the person that should win this match is Dominic Mysterio, because the dynamic between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor afterwards would just be super interesting and super entertaining. Like, I think that would be brilliant, brilliant TV with Dominic Mysterio, someone that Finn Balor has looked past so many times over the years in Judgment Day, treating like a little boy, treated him like a lackey. For him to now walk into WrestleMania and win that title, and for Dominic Mysterio's own career and trajectory, I think it's the right move. I've said time and time again over the past year, I think definitely last 6 months, I think Dominic Mysterio is checked out of the Judgment Day stuff. I think he wants to evolve. I think he wants to move on to the next thing in his career. And I'm only judging that by looking at his face when these segments are happening. Like, is he invested? Now, this obviously still means Judgment Day would be a thing, but I think this is how you add some intrigue to it. I think this is how you add some intrigue to it, and you put the title on Dom Mysterio. I think that could be really, really fun. Um, a lot of people have been saying the whole multi-man thing is super lazy, that we're just throwing men together, and that this is it's a Vince-ism. It's a thing that Vince McMahon used to do. You know, the only good thing about this is that these men, whether it's for the US title on SmackDown or the Intercontinental title on Raw, these men have been tangling with each other for weeks. Even the tag teams, they've been tangling with each other for weeks slash months at this point. So this isn't, we're 1 week out or 2 weeks out from WrestleMania. Oh, what do we do with all these people? Throw them in one match together and let them sort themselves out. There is an element of story to all of this. There is an element of story to all of this. So although, and you know me, yeah, I don't mind a multi-man match at WrestleMania. I actually think they're some of the better matches that you get, and it's WrestleMania. If you hang that IC title from the top of the ceiling and give it a ladder match for the IC title, a ladder match for the United States Championship, I'm here for it, because ladder matches are dangerous, they're fun. you know I'm here for that. I think it's good to kind of show these titles the reverence at times. So, like last year, we got the one-on-one match between um not Seth, Gunther and Sami Zayn for the IC title, and that was obviously a good match because we saw Sami Zayn, you know, Gunther. I think that's good in some aspects when you've got a real kind of story going in, but there's no real story here. The story, if anything, is between Dominic Mysterio and Finn Balor and how they've been treating and talking about each other. Bron Breakker has just been beating every opponent put in front of him, so he doesn't really have any story going into Mania. So I think a multi-man works in this situation, and like I said, it just makes so much sense for Dominic Mysterio to be the one to walk out with this championship. The stadium is going to boo. Like, the stadium is going to boo crazy, but we need to continue evolving the younger talent. And Dominic Mysterio is a very promising young talent. So yeah, I think that's the move. Then maybe you have Penta beat Dom Mysterio. That could be good. And then, maybe the Judgment Day is already crumbled by then when that happens. Who knows? Um, But yeah, those are the top 5 learns, in my opinion, from Monday Night Raw. Let's go to the chat now and see what everyone's been saying in the chat. Big up everyone that's been watching along live and leaving their comments in here. Big up John. John says John Cena won't retire as the champion. I mean, he might do like a fake on-screen retirement with the championship. Oh, I've won the championship now. I'm going home. No one call me. Don't book me to wrestle. I'm taking the championship and leaving. Like, he could do something like that. Like, if John Cena wins the championship at WrestleMania, a lot of people have probably said this already. They could run back John Cena versus CM Punk at Money in the Bank. Now, I'm trying to remember. I think it was CM Punk versus John Cena in 2013 at Money in the Bank, when CM Punk done that famous, blew John Cena a kiss when he won the title and left through the crowd and was quote unquote never to be seen again in WWE. Imagine John Cena beats CM Punk, sits on the barricade, blows CM Punk a kiss, and walks out of WWE. And it could even be a story where like CM Punk has now been the last person to he was sent on the mission to win the title back from John Cena and failed. And now it's all on CM Punk that, you let this guy walk out. You let him walk out without the championship. You didn't win the championship back from him. So yeah, it puts the onus on CM Punk in that way. John Cena can look like the spoiled brat sort of thing and escaping like the heel. Yeah, I don't think he will retire, like actually retire as the champion, but I do think that we can play with it in storyline sort of thing. Eric Douglas, big up Eric. He says, "Did you see the liver Lisa?" Yeah, I did. So that was from SmackDown, I think it was, when they were at Bologna in Italy. That was an amazing painting. I hope Liv Morgan took it off them. I know they had like a little WWE digital backstage thing where she met the people that brought in that painting, but yeah, I hope she kept it because that was great. Taker Fanatic says, a few weeks ago I had Jay yeeting to finish Mania, and now I think the triple threat is the main event of night one with a shock ending. So I think if John Cena is going to win the world title at the end of night two in the main event, which is going to be met with more than likely a chorus of boos, then I think you should end night one with Jey Uso winning the world title and everyone eating and going crazy and everyone upbeat and feeling good. I think that's how you should do it, right? The only circumstance I would put Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, and CM Punk in the main event of night one is if the winner is going to progress and join Cena and Cody Rhodes in the main event of night two. If this is just going to be a triple threat match where these three fight and there's no stipulation going into night two, like this has no bearing on night two, then I would not make this a main event just because of the name power. No, because the story right now, as of right now, doesn't deserve it. If it's going to lead to one of them joining the world title match on night two, cool, that's fine. But one, I think, yeah, if Cena's going to main event and turn heel, you should probably make Jey Uso send the crowd home happy on night one. Or two, like they should always be doing, although I agree this doesn't deserve it either, the women should main event night one. Charlotte Flair and Tiffany Stratton should main event night one. Because you have 2 nights of WrestleMania. Why can't the women main event one of them? And granted, I've been a big supporter of the women getting the main event since they went to these 2-night main events. They don't deserve it this year because of the story that they're telling. However, yeah, I just don't understand why the women can't main event one night. if you've got 2 nights of WrestleMania. It just doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think right now, I joked last week or 2 weeks ago that right now, it looks like anyone can main event night one because none of the stories are strong enough. But right now, I'd probably go with Jey Uso and Gunther. And like I said, that's just because of the juxtaposition of Cena ending the following night with boos. Let's end night one with cheers for Jey Uso winning the world title. Eric Douglas says here in the chat, the foreign crowd love Liv for some reason. I think the American crowd love Liv. I think Liv Morgan has done some amazing work in the last 18 months to 2 years. What was it? WrestleMania 40. WrestleMania 40. I was lucky enough. I spoke with Liv with Gorilla Position the night after WrestleMania or the day after WrestleMania night 2. And that's when she was like, she should be back on TV. And this is what she was telling me at like midday on the day of Monday Night Raw. I should be back on TV. My ankle's feeling better and all of this kind of stuff. She was completely playing it down in the interview. And then that night she was on TV. She took out Rhea Ripley, and Rhea Ripley was real life injured. And she went on a tear from there and became women's world champion. She won the Crown Jewel championship thing as well. She found her way into the Judgment Day. She's ripped apart the Judgment Day. She's been on TV every week since. Like, Liv Morgan is someone that I don't think a lot of people cared for. Maybe just thought she's just a pretty face, a blonde girl that will be comfortable in wrestling. She kept training, she kept working hard. And now they are pretty much looking at her as one of the leaders of the women's division right now. She's not a Bianca Belair. She's not a Rhea Ripley. She's not a 4 horsewoman level person sort of thing, but she has carved her own lane and is like very much she might be, and don't mean in terms of work or anything, I just mean in terms of like character standing. She's like the Seth Rollins of the women's division. Reliable, put her on TV, has good matches every time, good character work. Yeah, she might be, she's not a star like, like I say, Seth Rollins isn't Roman Reigns. He's not The Rock. He's not John Cena. He's not an upper echelon level guy. He's the next level down. And that's probably where Liv is when it comes to the women. But yeah, Liv is great. Take a fanatic says it here. Liv rules, workhorse of a wrestler. She has had a hell of a 18 months for sure. Well, that is it, guys. We're gonna wrap up today's show. Thank you for joining live. For those that joined live, thank you for those that are gonna watch this back. Like I said, I think we are maybe just about at 9,000 subscribers now, which is amazing. So thank you everyone that subscribed. Subscribe if you haven't. I don't know why you haven't if you haven't, but yeah, subscribe. I've got a video coming out tomorrow, hopefully, about Shinsuke Nakamura, his fall from grace. It's a very sad affair because Shinsuke Nakamura is one of my OG favorite Japanese wrestlers. Him, Kota Ibushi, those are my guys when I first started watching Japanese wrestling back in like 2013 or so. So yeah, I got a video coming out tomorrow about Shinsuke Nakamura, so look out for that on the channel. That's why you have to subscribe, hit the notification bell so you know when that's out. And yeah, Thursday we'll be back with an AEW Dynamite review for everything that's going on there. We are not too far out from AEW Dynasty now, which is next big show. So hopefully we'll have some good stuff to talk about going into that show. But yeah, that is all from myself. Hit the like button, subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. WrestleManiac UK signing out, and I'll see you soon.